Hello, my friends. Welcome to Things We Dig. My name is Chris.
Hey, what's up, everybody? I'm the other Chris.
Ooh, two Chris's, man. C squared. So today we're going to talk about The Last of Us, the new HBO series. And we're going to go at a perspective of I've never played the video game, but the other Chris has.
I
So
have.
I want to ask you, man, do you feel like at least the first episode, do you feel like that the Last of Us live action show is going to live up to the hype?
I do. I absolutely feel like it's gonna live up to the hype. I had pretty high expectations for it going in, just because like HBO and Pedro Pascal and everything, and it exceeded the expectations. Everyone always says the video game curse with shows, and I think maybe this will break the live action one.
Yeah, I feel like anything with Pedro Pascal is it's just good, man. Just good. I mean, we saw it with Mandalorian, we saw it with Game of Thrones, and I just feel like this one's gonna be a home run. And I would say, like I said, I never played the video game, but I'm familiar with it. I've seen scenes of it, I've seen, footage of gameplay and whatnot. And I really feel like the creators captured the aesthetic of the video game to showing The Last of Us, the world, the post-apocalyptic of what that looks like. And I really thought they nailed it on the head with that.
Yeah, they definitely have a lot of those small details in the world. I feel like trickled throughout it, and the sets and the background are done really well. They put a lot of time and money, obviously, into them, so it brings you into that world. And I think they're doing a lot of stuff to set the broader world up with little breadcrumbs, like how he's dealing those pills, and he's saying, "Oh yeah, they come out of." I forget if he said Atlanta or whatever city, and he's like, if they're making pills and bullets up there. That's all they do. So it lets you kind of know that there's probably pockets of civilization around that are still able to, run as a society to some point. So it's not a complete wasteland, but it also gives you the view of like, yes, shit's not like it used to be at all.
Right. Yeah, and I would say, again, not playing the video game, I feel like not that the creators and the showrunners are like holding your hand throughout the series, but I really feel like they did a good job of putting the show in a perspective of most viewers might not have played the video game. And though there's a really huge following for this video game. It's one of the most beloved video games I feel like in the past, decade. But the
Oh
show
yeah.
creators, I feel like they made it as if like, hey, you can enjoy this without having to play the video game. There might be a little bit of nods here and there to the video game that like, people who played it and who are, fans and who love it will kind of know, but I still feel like it's made for as if there wasn't a video game there. It's like, hey, like here's the world, here's what's going on. We're laying it out for you. We're doing building with it, and they're doing a really good job so far. Because, like I said, like I grasp it. I knew what was going on. I knew, the beats and the characters and kind of as you mentioned, the perspective of how they view the world now. So I think they're doing a
Yeah.
good job to getting a wide audience of it, of those who played and those who haven't played the video game.
Yeah, and I would think that the vast majority of people who watch the show probably haven't played the game. I think that anyone who has played the game and enjoyed it is going to watch it, but millions of viewers are going to watch it without having seen it. So you have to present it in that way. And I think they did a good job. Like that scene in the beginning where they're talking about, things that could lead to an eventual outbreak. It kind of gets your mind thinking of like, oh, this is obviously where they're going to go with this show, but they do things different from the game too. So if you enjoyed it and you see the story like this, like some of the scenes are shot for shot from the game, and some things they've strayed away from. So I think there's things for both people to enjoy too. But yeah, they're definitely presenting the information as if you know nothing, which I like.
Right. And I would say kind of what you touched upon, the opening, the very opening of it, from what I read and other reviews, that like 1960s interview of with those scientists that wasn't in the video game, correct?
No, not at all.
So I think that really set it up too in a perspective of like this is very real. Like in that world, like this fungi, this disease can really, be can really affect the whole world. And I thought that was a good way to kind of set up the how intense and how severe that the world is eventually going to be because of these things. They describe the fungi with the ants and how they will take over the body, kind of like what we've seen it before with like other zombie adaptations from movies and books and stuff. So I really thought adding that scene really kind of made the severity of what's to come, really set the tone for that.
Oh, absolutely. And have you ever seen pictures of when that cordyceps fungi takes over an ant and what it looks like and stuff and acts like? It's wild, man. You should look into it, viewers, if you have not seen it. Pretty interesting. That is not something they made up for the show.
So let's dive into the characters a little bit. Again, not playing the video game. I'm gonna say that a bunch, but I was super surprised. And viewers, if you are watching this, listening to this, there's gonna be light spoilers in here. So if you don't want to get spoiled, I would say this is a good time to maybe head out and check out, watch the first episode and come back. But I was thoroughly surprised that the daughter of Joel in the show didn't, survive. And I thought the actress Nico Parker, who played Sarah Miller, it seemed like she's going to be the main focal point of the
Right.
show.
Yeah.
And you're invested in her. And I thought she did a really fantastic job of kind of setting the tone of, Joel, who's going to be the initial protagonist of it, the main lead, and kind of his projection to the rest of the world for this 20 years, because 20 years later, she passes away. She dies because of the outbreak and just the chaos going on around it. And I was so shocked. I was like, oh my goodness, like she died? What? 20 years later? So I thought she did a really good job portraying that little bit of time she had in the first episode to kind of be sort of the glue for the rest of the series and how Joel is going to react.
Yeah, it definitely sets up, shows how why Joel is such a hard man in the future. You know what I mean? And in the game, it all opens up at the when his brother pulls up in the truck and everything's already gone crazy at nighttime. So you never got to see those scenes of her going to the neighbors and doing all this other stuff. And it was already impactful to see his daughter just get, gunned down. But then to having gone through 30 minutes of like really getting to connect with this actor, Nico Parker, she did an amazing job. So you like her. And like me, I knew what was going to happen, that she was going to die. And I was still like, oh, damn, maybe they're going to play it different, or how's this going to go? And yeah, man, Pedro Pascal plays it so well when he turns and is like, help me, Tommy. And his voice is breaking and everything. Fuck, man, gets you right in the feels.
Yeah, like it really such a shocker, especially for those who, aren't familiar with the story. But I guess going, onto Pedro Pascal, we talked a little bit about him in the beginning, but how do you think he did as Joel? Do you think he, again, a beloved video game character, do you feel like he was the right choice for this character?
Yes, I do feel like he did really well. You kind of worry like he's going to have the Chris Pratt effect. They keep casting him as this, you know, silent badass or reluctant hero, but I feel like he plays all of them so differently that it's still refreshing to see. Like, I'm very interested to see where he goes as Joel. His portrayal so far is pretty spot on to the books. The voice obviously isn't the same, but just the swagger and everything he has, I think he's got it dead on.
Yeah, I would say, Pedro Pascal, been one of my favorite actors of recent years. And as you said, I think he plays a burdened individual really well. And you can see, his girlfriend in the show in the beginning, there's these, I don't know what you'd call them. They're a gang, or they're individual like drug dealers, and they're like, he's terrified of you. You can tell that like he can hold his own. And then you see it later in the episode when he has to protect, we'll dive into her a little bit too as well, but Ellie, and you're just like, oh, he's a badass. Like Pedro
Yeah.
Pascal just can play a badass really well. Really excited to see him in this project. And I just think, yeah, it's going to be, a trip and an adventure, a journey going with them for the rest of the way. But yeah, so I guess the second main actress in it, Bella Ramsey, is Ellie.
Yeah.
She's a little rough around the edges. Again, of course, I read into it a bit, and getting kind of a little dive into all these characters in the world of it. And I thought she did great too as well. I mean, I know there's obviously something more. They allude to something. She's sort of the quote unquote chosen one, or there's something about her that's going to
Oh yeah,
make a make
absolutely.
make an impact on the world. And she's just this hardened child who she mentions in the show that she she was abandoned. She was an orphan.
Yeah.
being an orphan alone in the world is hard enough, but like in this type of world. So I thought she did a really good job, kind of being rough around the edges. And there was some kind of writing that maybe was like, okay, we get it. You're that badass little teenager. But what do you think of her portrayal as Allie?
I like it a lot. Like you were referring to, she definitely has something more going on. I'm not going to say out loud what it is. You could probably figure it out based on the clues they've given you. It's not really part of the story that stays hidden for long, but it is like the crux of everything going forward. And I would say her acting, I don't know if it's yet chopped up to like some bad writing, like the obvious like cussing and stuff, or her acting skills, but I like it so far. But she doesn't have as much of like Pedro Pascal has like the look and the feel and the tone of Joel like perfectly, and I feel like maybe there's just a little
Right.
bit missing with her. But I've only seen one episode for 3 or 4 in. She could be killing it. I definitely
Yeah.
didn't dislike it at all.
Yeah, I would agree, man. I mean, I'm so excited to see, what's left for the rest of this season. I'm sure it's going to be great. Just again, the world building, the aesthetic, it feels like a video game to me. There's certain scenes. I was reading the scene with the truck, and I had to go and watch a YouTube video of that scene because when they're with Joel and his daughter, and then what's his friend's name again?
Tommy.
Tommy, when they're driving in the truck, I was like, this feels like a video game. And someone had mentioned that. So I looked it up. I'm like, oh my goodness. It was almost like a shot for shot of Sarah kind of you can look around with her, I guess, and just all the chaos that was going on. I'm like, dang, they did a perfect job of setting up that scene and the intensity to come.
And I don't know if it was portrayed well, but Tommy is his brother, so
Oh, okay. Gotcha.
not just his homeboy. So that's what
Gotcha.
she's saying, Uncle Tommy and all that stuff. It's not. I mean, I know a lot of times when people have friends, the kids say that, but he's actual blood related to him. But I
Okay.
would agree with you as well. The way that they shot it, it's like great cinematography, but does have that almost like first person perspective, like you're playing along with the story type feel to it.
Yeah. So damn good job. If you haven't seen it, The Last of Us, HBO Max, second episode, I believe it's gonna be airing every Sunday, correct?
Yes, every Sunday in HBO, they're bringing back those good old Sunday nights, baby.
Dude, HBO Max, man, it's a luxury of TV. But yeah, man. So what do you hope to see for the rest of the season? Is there anything part of the game? We don't have to get too much into spoilers, but maybe certain aspects that you're hoping to see for the rest of the season?
Definitely. One thing that I'm a little disappointed they're leaving out is that they're going to have the infection spread, not by spores like they did originally, and to wear
Okay.
gas masks a lot in the game. So I understand why they're not going to do that for the show. It could be, pretty cumbersome to have taking on and putting on gas masks all the time. They're going to have it be through like the tendrils, like we're coming out of the old lady's mouth. So
Oh, okay.
that
Yeah,
should be
yeah.
the fungus thing. Will play a little bit more into it that. But what they are still going to have that I've heard is a lot of like the creatures from the games, like the clickers and the enemies. So I'm really interested to see the CGI on those. And the game was very good at doing these intense scenes where like you're hiding and sneaking past these things, and you felt very nerve wracked. So I'm really hoping they can translate that onto the screen as well.
Yeah, I was. That's another aspect too. You talked about the old lady, the next door neighbor. That scene was intense. Like,
Fuck yeah, dude. Seeing her in the
dude,
background, like,
yeah. So, like you said, hoping with these creatures, and I guess a human aspect might be some type of enemies too as well. So, really looking forward to that. But awesome, man. Well, good to hear from you. Hear from someone who played the video game. And thank you, viewers, listeners, for checking in. And
hell yeah.
we'll probably recap, maybe not every episode, but definitely a few others or the
Yeah,
season
check in
flip.
every few and see how it's going, man.
Yeah. So if you like this video, hit subscribe. Until next time, later days.
See you, listeners.